Hello and welcome back, everyone. It is now time for Timm Schneider, CEO of ZignSec, to present. Please, Tim, go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Tim. I'm a CEO of ZignSec. We are a RegTech platform. We call it a one-stop shop for compliance, and I will tell you in a little bit why we call it a one-stop shop. We do help regulated and self-regulated companies to get compliant or to stay compliant. And if you read recent newspapers almost on a weekly basis, then it's omnipresent that these type of services are extremely important. This event is just 2 days ahead of our quarter report, so I won't be able to talk about the recent figures here, but we will see the performance of the company and also what we have done up to here and what we want to do in the near future. Since the topic is pretty complex, I've decided to put a small video in the front because you will get a lot of know-how of things that we do, terminology, and afterwards a presentation will make much more sense for you. So here's our one-stop shop. Let's get this started. If it starts.
Yeah, it looks like it's running.
Yeah. Any regulated company with aspirations to grow, expand, and compete on the global market needs to ensure cross-border compliance. This usually entails considerable costs and challenges with little to no margin for error. Well, not anymore. Connect with ZignSec to overcome the complexity and the divergence of cross-border compliance. ZignSec is your one-stop shop offering regulatory technology that caters a stellar customer onboarding, due diligence and monitoring. A single connection to ZignSec grants organizations access to our comprehensive portfolio of automated KYC, KYB, anti-fraud and AML compliance solutions providing global coverage. Organizations that connect with ZignSec escape several integration interfaces as they utilize a single interface for all their compliance solutions, workflows and processes. And they don't have to expend time and resources finding various compliance solution providers. Our platform aggregates the best compliance solutions in each market and allows connected organizations to combine these into a seamless workflow according to their specific industry standards or local regulations. All through a single connection to our API or our no-code compliance manager. Our no-code compliance manager is a web tool that enables organizations to build, optimize, and automate workflows while connecting them with the best global and local compliance solutions. With the easy-to-learn drag and drop feature, even a non-IT person is qualified to build and orchestrate a KYC and KYB process. In case of, for example, regulatory changes, organizations easily re-engineer and rapidly deploy any alterations or optimizations to their workflows and processes. All it takes is a single connection to ZignSec, and your organization will have a seamless automated KYC or KYB process for customer onboarding, due diligence and monitoring, all custom-made for your specific industry and country of choice. ZignSec continuously aggregates compliance solutions on a global scale, allowing your organization to stay ahead of regulatory changes and ensure perpetual cross-border compliance. Get it all with one connection, all in one contract, all paid via one invoice. ZignSec, your one-stop shop for compliance.
Great. So, long story short, to summarize the video, our services are not just a nice to have for the customers that we have. The services are a must-have for the regulated businesses on a global scale. The reason why our customers choose ZignSec are manifold, and one of the reasons is we have a global coverage through one interface, through one invoice, and can distribute, sorry. We have a global coverage for one invoice and one interface. We are a specialist in orchestrating specialist providers on a global scale. So often I get the question, how can you do the service in Manila? How can you do a service in the Philippines? How can you do the service in Latin America? And this is because we do connect to specialist providers and orchestrate them into a workflow so that we can provide the services according to the local market needs. No single specialist provider can keep up or can provide the services that we have through our platform because obviously they specialize in one certain area, and we can aggregate the services into a workflow that then makes them comply with their local regulation. ZignSec as such is a provider independent operator. So we are not owned by a bank or we don't have to report to a regulator. But we do orchestrate many specialist providers. If you connect to ZignSec, the service level is much higher if you would integrate with a single provider. Because we have something that's called smart routing. People would often know this, for example, from payment processing, where if something is not working, you can switch to another provider. And that is something that we can provide going forward. We provide a service. If something is not working, we can switch it to a different service. The next reason why our clients choose us is that if you need to have multiple compliance services in different countries, you have to pay a startup fee, you have to have integration projects, and you have to have very often monthly minimums to pay. If you connect with us, everything is done once, and you don't need to go to the specific providers. So this is what we call aggregation, and you only have to deal with us. What it means is that we also save operational costs. Every time you would need to integrate with a specific provider, you would need to have your staff, your IT team, to integrate, to plan a project, and that obviously costs you a lot of operational time and resources. Through ZignSec, you do it once, and you get all markets. What we see here is the typical landscape that our clients face when they find out I have to get a new identity provider, I have to get a new service provider in a market for a specific regulation to comply. And without ZignSec, you have a very fragmented market. There's a different provider that you have to use in Sweden. Then you need one in Spain. You need one in the US. So you have a lot of integration work. You have a lot of time you need to spend. And with ZignSec, you get one interface. And our clients tell us, there is a provider we need, and we can simply add it. It's our core business to continuously integrate new solutions instead of our clients. So we are really the aggregator and help them to succeed with their compliance demands. So our solution is split into three main areas. That is onboarding, due diligence, and monitoring. The onboarding part is everything that is connected with the intake of a client. And the intake of a client can be a private client, but the intake of a client can also be a whole company, which is much more complex at the phase of the onboarding. And it's very important to have a seamless system throughout that whole chain, because the earlier you collect the data, the sooner you can start your risk management, the sooner you can start acting and filter, do I want to do business? Can I do business with this particular person or with this particular company? So after onboarding, it comes into the due diligence part of life. You have already found out through some matrices, through some processes, that you might want to continue with a specific client. And now you do a full due diligence. And again, a couple of, or like many providers are necessary in order to do a full due diligence according to, say, a bank that wants to grant a loan for a company, for a private person. If you buy a house, then you have due diligence processes on the back of it. So whatever is the due diligence process, it contains a lot of specific providers that you need to reach out to. Once the due diligence is done, it continues, because you need to monitor, is the status of that company, is the status of that person continuously as we had it at the time of underwriting. And that is a very great business for us as well, because that is a recurring business, and we grow with the clients of our clients. So through the onboarding channel, done the due diligence, and now monitoring starts, and it adds up every single day. So ZignSec is an independent provider for global onboarding, due diligence, and monitoring solutions. And that's why we call it the one-stop shop. This goes hand in hand with our vision that we become the #1 cross-border compliance aggregator and a global leader in onboarding, due diligence, and monitoring. So let's look back a little bit of the start of our company and where we are now. The logic of the acquisitions and what we have done so far. So in 2019, ZignSec got listed on Nasdaq First North. So at that time, we already had a declared build and buy strategy. So we knew that becoming a leader in this space, you can't just rely on full organic growth. We also need to have certain specialists and certain access to markets from time to time. So we started off as an EID aggregator. And in 2020, also when I became a CEO in April, we really wanted to do a global rollout pretty fast. And it was very evident that we need additional tools on top of electronic identities. And the next very logical step for electronic identities, as we know it, for example, here in Sweden with Bank ID, is to have biometric checks for persons. But this comes along with various other checks that you need to do to come up to the same standard. We tried a couple of solutions. We integrated one, we integrated another one. We found out it is very, very different in which part of the world you perform these checks. And we knew we needed some more know-how in-house. That then also led to the acquisition of Basis ID. So what we can do here now immediately is we can fill the gap and fill a delta between 1, 2, or 3 solutions when a certain country cannot be conquered with the solutions that are integrated. Almost at the same time, it was also clear that adding so many new solutions needed a massive refactoring of the system, needed some good push on the technology side as well. And we need a really rock solid workflow engine that can contribute to the target to have solutions in onboarding, due diligence, and monitoring. So we started also pretty early to use the Vator system so that we can configure exactly to the needs of our clients. And finally, also early in 21, we could close the transaction with Vator. And since Vator has become more and more our core system, and status as of today is that this workflow engine is our system. So we do have very good solutions. We do have a very good workflow engine that can contribute to fast integrations on a global scale. But what was missing also to a certain extent is access to market. The market we are in is it's a very large market, but it's also a slow market. It takes time to really get into the correct discussions with all our target clients. And we had one part missing in the chain. So that was the due diligence part, and WebShield is the perfect fit for these plans, because WebShield is one of 5 global providers that can do due diligence for merchant onboarding in the merchant in the card acquiring space. And through this ability, we get access to a lot of licensed entities that are 100% our target market. So that was a very good fit. As said, I cannot disclose the figures, but it will be Friday. But if we look back a little bit what happened over the last 4 quarters, then we see that we really are on a fast track and a good way to reach our communicated targets. And I'm really much looking forward for Friday, and then I believe we'll have a lot of calls also from our friends and shareholders. And yeah. So back to the status. Vator has become our core engine. This means that the previous ZignSec system, all the functionalities, everything that is needed to perform our business is now running through the unified interface of Vator. So the public APIs, the internal communication system, documentation, everything runs through that system. All group services from Basis ID and also from WebShield already are orchestrated through that system. So are all services that we plug to the system, any external providers. Doing so, we have unified our IT efforts drastically. We run very lean processes, and that is the basis for a very uniform sales strategy that we are going to push forward. So WebShield, Basis ID, and any other solution is equally available through the API. At the moment, we have to report all group companies, but from a sales perspective, it's already unifying into one sales force. This will also become very clear very soon once we launch our new SaaS portal. That will be unified access for all clients and all products of the company. So that is, so to say, the one-stop shop, then also accessing our system.
Tim, I'm sorry, but we're running out of time.
Okay.
And I have to interrupt you there. Let's just round up with 2 questions.
Yes.
First one is a yes or no question.
Okay.
Is your solution is your solution out of the box, or is it customizable?
Yeah, both. Yes, yes.
Both.
So both. So we do have already packages, ready-made packages per industry. But the beauty of the solution is that with no development changes, it is possible to adapt into a new workflow.
I see.
So it is out of the box, but like shirts tailor-made to be ready. Yeah.
Okay. And there's a lot of talk about open banking, of course, after the latest regulations, and we have seen several Swedish companies, not the least, taking advantage of this, providing account-to-account services. How do you view this trend? Is this something beneficial for you, or?
I mean, we are connected to multiple open banking providers, not for the service of payment transfers. So we don't do payments, but for the for checks, for services.
You mean like KYC,
yeah,
KYB?
in the course of a KYC, in some countries you need to check the bank account, and we have connectivities into open banking providers utilizing their functionalities. Yes.
Okay. I suppose, have you communicated publicly any goals or estimates for organic growth going forward?
Only what we have published already. So no updates at this point.
Okay, and what's the latest?
So we said always 100 million by end of 2022 in revenue and 20 million in EBITDA.
Okay.
So far this has not changed. We have not communicated difference.
Okay. That's a really aggressive statement, given the, I mean, aggressive in a way that it's impressive, but obviously you're on your way to achieving that. So we're looking forward to getting updated goals from you.
With the entities and the companies we have signed up at the moment, there's no reason why not.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Yeah, thanks for the time.
Good luck.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.